it completely disconnected me. I was trying to reset and like it just completely kicked me out. So restarting the video, definitely a sign of retrograde. So when there are retrograde planets in the sky, it makes you repeat things until you master it. So the fact that I have to make the video again makes total sense. I'm just blabbering today. I have some free time, and after very long, I feel like I have the free time to just spare just because. And those of you who love to hear me blabber, great, good for you. Those who hate looking at me and listening to my voice, and I am so sorry. You can just X out of here. And that's okay. I won't take it personally. You have the right to like or not like some people. But I am talking about a few things that came up in the free support group that I share. We're talking about just somebody asked the question and I thought, oh, hey, that might be, it's better to explain some things online rather than being able to type them, because it's not easy to explain complicated topics. And I like talking about complicated spiritual topics. I don't intend to make it easier or simpler. So there are people who are like, what is she talking about? Like, it's way up there. Like, I don't understand anything. That's okay. The content that I make is geared towards a certain audience, and I'm not wanting to change that, at least not right now. So thank you for those who listen or even try to attempt to understand some of it. We're talking about karma theory today. We'll be talking about some miracles with Navratri, Ma Durga, that are always there with me, around me, and my family knows about them. And we'll talk about twin flames a little bit and anything else. If there's any comments that come up, any questions, if I get to read them while I'm doing the video, I might include some of that content. So feel free to leave any comments. Thank you for listening now or later. Again, this is Rima Desai from The Guiding Star. Somebody asked, as I was talking about a few different things, somebody asked, are we always reborn as humans? And the one thing that I wanted to mention to that is that's not necessarily a very clear-cut, simple answer, but I want to explain the karma theory in a non-religious way. No religion attached here, just actual, literal, just karma, and understanding it, because most people hear it, they know it, but they don't understand it. So let's simplify it, really simplify it. And this is, again, just for a certain crowd. If you're interested in this topic, great. If you're not, then okay, thank you, not a problem. Think of karma as a bank, right, as an account. And karma, in terms of karma, means like the deeds that we're doing, right? The right consciousness, wrong. I don't like to use the words right, wrong, good or bad, but basically consciousness, that is, you can, or for some people, you can say towards the light, towards the dark, however you want to put it. But every karma, every karam is the right word. Karma is more of the Western word, begins in your thought. It begins with a thought. What I'm doing right now, talking, is the secondary step to my thought, right? I first think, whether consciously or subconsciously, right? And then I act. So action comes after. Thought comes before. Thought is where the karma begins. So our life is an accumulation of karma. And every second we're thinking, every minute we're thinking. So we are accumulating karma. And then as we do action, we're putting intensity to that karma. So I could be, let's say, feeling angry about something. And then if I act in an angry and aggressive way, I'm adding more intensity. So it's like saying, if I'm building a fund or a fixed deposit, I'm adding more in it, right? I'm giving more intensity and strength to it. So we accumulate our karma over time. And then just like a bank balance, we have the good, we have the bad karma accumulated. Or the positive and the negative is the better. I like to use the word positive and negative, right? Balance. And based on that balance, there's a few things that's going to happen. Based on that balance, you're going to, first of all, get to know how much choice you have. That's the first step. It's like saying you have $10 or you have $100 or you have $1,000. The amount of choices, the range of choices is going to differ, right? It's going to differ. So that's going to, the first influence for the soul to be reborn is based on the amount of choice it has. And the choice to be reborn, or where you will be reborn, is decided over multiple times in a lifetime on a very subconscious level for the human body. It's subconscious to the human body, right? But it's not subconscious to the soul. So your soul is getting options to decide, or it's being decided at certain moments of your life, what are going to be your bank balance or choices to reincarnate. Now, based on the strongest or the final order, in a way, where your final stamp is sealed, that this is the time where you now get to really make your choice, you're given the balance, and you said, based on that balance, the positive and the negative, here are your range of options. Now, the range of options, if your balance is good enough, decent enough, right, really decent, we're talking about average, and you're already a human, the chances are that likely you are going to get the ability to be reborn as a human on earth if you want, right? So that's going to be an option. If within that choice, then, within that choice, the layers of humans, so what kind of family you get, money, how much like spiritual growth you get, there's so many factors people don't realize. People are only looking at in today's world the outward, like how much money did somebody get, so that person is very lucky. How, like, what kind of status they have in society, what kind of career title they have, and they consider themselves lucky and others lucky. But there's so much luck involved in other things, like, for example, having a fully functional body. That's a strong karma to have a body throughout your life where you don't lose a major sense organ, limbs, despite having other challenges in life, despite having any accidents or injuries, despite things that happen. That's a strong karam. That's a good karam. So there's so many different, or the ability to, for me, in my case, I feel the circumstances, the background, the foundation, the soul, like all the choices my soul made, it accelerated my spiritual growth so much, like beyond, so quickly. In a very short span. That's a huge positive karam to get. Like, that's like, wow, the money that if I could have had a lot of money, that would only last for this lifetime. What am I going to do with that money? And in fact, if I had a lot, let's say somebody has a lot of money, they may likely spend a lot of time waning, right? And not really striving for accelerated growth. So the fact that sometimes the soul has chosen not to be born in a materialistic background, that is materialistic from the spiritual point of view, right? But blessed from the human point of view, could be very strong karam. So I want to open up your perspective and start observing people of who truly, that you can start observing, no judgment, just observe, is truly blessed, right? The way to know that is, there's one answer. Who has made the most progress in their life internally? That is the most blessed person. And along with that, if they also have other positive things, that's even better. That's a bonus, right? So based on that, based on the karam, the bucket you have, most likely with an average bucket, you're able to reborn as a human. Now within humans, you may be born in like very religious family. That's a good karam. A family with good name. That's a good karam and respect in society. A family that values spiritual growth. That's a very strong karam. A family that values education, that's a good karam, right? Very strong karam. Family that gives you positive values to be a human, like kindness, compassion to everyone, that's very strong. It requires very, very strong karam to be born in a certain families. Even though your situations may not look favorable. Like my mother passed away when I was 6, and I had a very difficult childhood. All throughout, in fact, into even mid-adulthood, extremely traumatic. But that was I was paying off certain debts. At the same time, it accelerated my life so much. It was a very strong, positive karam that was hidden along with, all the other suffering that came with it. So it's not that simple to explain, but based on the bucket you have, you'll have choices. Like this is your maximum positive karam that you can get. And this is the minimum negative karam you have to get. Now within that, think of customizing like your Starbucks coffee, where you can add toppings, you can add like the size of the cup. Based on that, the price will change. Do you want to add more like a drizzle on top, right? Or any kind of like, if you were getting a wedding photographer, what layers and levels of photographer do you want based on If you pay more, you get more services. So now you're able to customize only if you have that extra buffer of the positive karma. So look at all the things that are happening in humanity, right? There are people who die with accidents. There are people who are like really ill. There are people who are in drugs at a young age. There are people who are born in families that are criminals, background. So that is telling you that they had average good enough to be born as a human, not be born as an animal, or lower beings. But even within that human average bucket, they were lower in their good positive karma bucket, right? That's why they had to be born in circumstances that were not as favorable to soul consciousness and soul growth. So the same fundament continues. So the more positive bucket you're accumulating, the more you're going to have choices. To an extent then, between lower beings, which will be animals, Thiryaj, like completely insects and bugs, the lower you go in consciousness or in being in that sense, the fewer sense organs you have. So let's look at my plant here. Okay, this plant, the bamboo plant, it's a beautiful looking plant. Within the plant kingdom, it has positive karam within that bucket of plants where it's such a beautiful looking plant. That's a karam. It doesn't just come. The fact that most people who will look at a bamboo shoot will feel happy looking at it. That is a positive karam. So having a good face, having a good appearance, having good, like decent hair, good features, good body, that's a karam. You have to accumulate. You don't just get it. It's not just given to you. It has to be earned, right? But all plants don't have the sense organs of, they can hear, but they don't have eyes, right? They have touch. What do they not have? They don't have mouth, so they don't have like taste in that sense. I don't know if they do. I don't think so. And then movement, kinesthetic, they don't have, right? Fewer the sense organs, fewer is the ability of that organism to scale up in consciousness because it has limited options. So in that sense, on Earth, on Prithvi, human consciousness is the luckiest of all. It's the highest order because you have all the 5 sense organs and you have a mind that helps you, if you decide to, choose to, overcome the gratification of the 5 sense organs and work towards higher consciousness. Only humans have that. Lower beings don't have that on Earth. Now, within that humans, I told you, right, you'll have different layers based on where within that human you're born. Now, if you have very strong, huge, amazing karam, then you start getting options to be born outside of Earth. Or if you have very, very low karam, it takes a certain amount of karam to even get the ability to, the option to be born on Earth. Earth has its own benefits, right? So there are, just like within the human society, like I am just an academic advisor, somebody who's a director at my work, she's at a higher level than me. So she has better karam on that sense, right? She has more influence, more options. So same way, to be born on Earth, it takes certain amount of karam, minimum karam, even as an organism, even as an animal, even as a human. If you don't have that also, then you're going to be born at lower level consciousness. So until you build up over lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes. Now remember, the lower the consciousness, the lesser their understanding and ability to work towards a higher consciousness. So it takes them multiple lifetimes to be born, to continue to learn, to actually build that karam, to be born as a human. That's why it said in Hinduism, Jainism, so many like religious scriptures, spirituality, it is a blessing to be born as a human. It takes a certain amount of karam to be born as a human. Now, what you do with it is going to decide what happens further, right? To be born beyond being a human, like Devi, Devtas, to be at that level where you're in higher dimensions, that again is higher level karam. So we're talking about many complicated combinations there. Within the Devi, Devta realms of the Parlok, or whatever word you use, 5th dimension, also then there are layers. So there's angels, there's archangels, there's Devis that are just regular Devis, then there are very influential Devis, then there's Saraswati, there's Lakshmi, there's Durga, there's Athena, depending on the culture, again, the religion, all of that. But they have their stacks. just like the prime minister and the vice president and director of a school, of a rural area, like it differs, right? So that influence, that ability changes depending on your karma. It has to be built. So it's not like somebody was just born Devi Devta. It wasn't just given to them. It was earned over lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes of penance and hard work. And it takes a lot to be able to get there. Now, once you get that, even true for Devi Devtas, what they do with it, that is a question. There are many humans and many Devi Devtas and many animals and many organisms that will spend their life in vain. They will, if they have money, they'll spend it, they'll enjoy, they'll continue the stack that they have built of the, remember the fixed deposit example, or the money that you have saved, so your positive karma. They'll continue to just spend it. And there will come a point, and you might have enough stacked that it'll take you through a whole lifetime of luxury and enjoyment. But there will come a time when it will go away. If you are not keeping up of rebuilding enough, if you're continuing to spend more and build less, at some point that balance is going to go down to zero. So every second, every minute that you're thinking your karma, it's building that either positive or negative, positive or negative, positive or negative. It's building that whole stack up. Now, when we do certain actions that can have, again, a thought has only so much power, right? Sometimes it can have a lot of power. But let's say a thought is, I want to help somebody who is poor. That's a thought. It has some amount of positive, the positive karma, the cha-ching, like, I get, okay, you get a check mark there. You get a small interest, like 0.01% interest on it for thinking good. Now I start to take steps where I get into my car, I walk up, I purchase a bag of rice to offer to somebody who's poor, to donate. Now that's a higher level, right? So I get a higher interest. So you get like 10%, or let's say not 10%, but let's say 3% interest on the positive stack because you now took action, positive action on a positive thought. Then I actually go to someone's house and I donate a bag. Now that's a higher, so then let's say that gives me like 5% interest in total instead of just the 0.1 of the thought. So how you act on your thoughts and the kind of actions you take and the intensity of those actions and the repetition of those actions is going to build up things. But the first responsibility is always towards yourself. So religion, spirituality, it all says people who say that I did so much for others, but they didn't take care of themselves, that again is not always necessarily it's building your positive, but it's also depleting. It's also depleting from your positive at the same time because you've been given this body as clothes. This body is not, I don't know if people understand this. The body, the hair, the face, the voice, the features, everything that's been given to me, I have earned it, but it has been given to me through earnings. It's not something that I own for always, right? When I die, wherever I'm reborn, I'm not going to have the same body and face unless if I choose that and if I have the ability to and if I want to. But it's been given as a rental. Think of it as a rental car that has been given to you for this lifetime to navigate through everywhere you need to go and everything you need to do. So how I utilize this body and how I utilize the rental that has been given to me and how much I care for it is going to matter, not just how much I'm doing for others. It is going to matter. If I have a car that has been given to me on rent, I have to take care of it. I better do. But neither just take care of the car, nor just not take care of the car and take care of everything else. That balance is important. Then there are many different types of earths. It's not different types of earths, sorry. Scratch that. There are many earths, very similar earths. So this is one earth. I don't know if many people understand it. This is one earth. Dharti or Bhumi, Prithvi, whatever we call it. But there are similar earths in the galaxy. And the galaxy that I'm talking about is not the galaxy the way science is describing it. We're talking about broader boundaries there. So there are other earths where there are very similar, identical, very, very like parallel. That's why we call them parallel lives. Those who are in spirituality, I don't know if you understand. What does parallel lives mean? You're living in a very similar, you've incarnated in the past in a very similar but not exactly same bhumi. So it's like I live in a townhouse, and all the homes, there's a row house. From the outside they look the same, the inside the structure is the same. Now how everybody decorates the house is different, right? It's exactly that. So there's multiple dhartis. So you could be born on a parallel dharti, and sometimes the soul may say, why? That's a good question, right? Why? Because I heard somebody ask that. Somebody who's going to watch this video is going to ask why. So that's a good question to ask. Whoever asked it is because you might say, and this is true for the person who's thinking about this question, by the way, you might say that my best friend or my soulmate is going to be born. And by soulmate, I don't mean romantic necessarily. Soulmates can be multiple people. They don't have to be only romantic. All that, like all those ideas, it's like baffles me what the kind of ideas that people have. But my soulmate, my best friend is being born there. So I also want to accompany them and be close to them. It could be as simple as that, like just somebody from your soul family and you want to be close to them. That's it. Or it could be, I'm curious about like this earth experience. Are other earths, so if I live in a similar home in the neighborhood, is it the same experience? You might just be curious. So there could be different reasons why you choose a parallel life, a parallel like dimension to be born in. Then there are prithvis, so these are all prithvis. Then there are aspects or dimensions and planets that are inhabited that are above and below. So there are different dimensions, there are higher dimensions. The rules of the planet, the creatures, if you call them creatures, they can be different. They can look very, very different. So, for example, and it asked me, Facebook was asking me to see who's live. I don't like to do it. I get kind of distracted, but thank you for whoever's watching. I almost never know who's watching. But okay, so thank you for all those who are watching. I don't think I got any comments yet. Okay, I had to enable question and answer. Interesting. Stuff that I haven't done Facebook in a long time. Live. Gotcha. Okay. So then there will be, what was I talking about? Yeah. So I, for example, have known a planet. I say I'm a starseed, right? So starseeds are, people may call them aliens in a way, but starseeds are basically my origin is not Earth as much. So I'm not coming to Earth feels, it felt for the longest time very alien to me, very alien, like struggled a lot being on Earth. Right? So it's like migrating into a whole different dimension, migrating into a whole different kind of universe or planet where the rules are very different, people look different, bodies are different, laws and what's considered, just like you migrate from one country to another, one culture to another, Asia to like America, so different, right? If you've migrated, you would understand. Similarly, you can migrate planets. So there's a planet that I know where there is just unconditional love. It's unbelievable. You might think that's just, you're trying to learn that on Earth to so much effort. But everybody who is existing on that dimension, on that planet, they are naturally born in love. That is unconditional in nature. They don't have a face. It's so interesting. Like I've seen it, I've experienced it, I know it. And they're very united in their family. They're very, very together. And it's a very small community of people. It's not people, but it's a very small community of beings. And their color like is generally just, I think, blue. So it can be very different, like completely different dynamics on another planet, on another dimension. So you could have planets that are similar dimensions, but they're not Prithvi. So it could be a dimension will basically, I'm trying to make it simple as possible. A dimension is going to basically set the limits on what can be manifested in physical form, what can be manifested in spiritual form. Is there a spiritual life there? Is there a physical presence there? There's all these different factors and dynamics. On higher planes, there's less physical. There's less 3D. There's less of, and some of them, there's no physical body. There's only spiritual existence. On some, there's only emotional existence. It might be hard for some of you to understand this. But our karma, our bucket is the simplest way to know it. Positive and negative will give you choices. And it's not to say that all the Devi Devtas like Saraswati or Lakshmi who've been on the fifth dimension, higher plane, are always going to continue being that. No. But their lifetime as per Earth years is 10,000 plus lifetime. So their one lifetime is because of the amount of positive karma they've built. They've got to be in a dimension where they could enjoy that for a larger period of time. They could be incarnated in a dimension where they had more to enjoy for a longer space. Earth will only give you maximum, 120 human years, right? That's the max. So they say, no, I want to probably, maximize what I have. And they are born in a dimension where they're living for 10,000 plus human years as the capacity. Whether they live the 10,000 years or not, we don't know, right? Not necessarily, depends on each. So that's why, even though Parvati is no longer Parvati, she is now reborn as like in the form of Durga and not Durga anymore, and Ambe not Ambe anymore, and she's an advanced version. We're still worshipping Parvati because in the higher dimensions, that's how long they live. So in human years, for 10,000 years, you will see people worship Ganesh, Parvati, Shiv. After those 10, 12,000 years, they won't. Their presence will not be there as much. And then there can be dimensions that can be parallel, that can be similar, but it could not be Earth and Prithvi. It could be a completely different existence. And why do people then, there are Devi Devtas who after living in Parlok will want to come back to Earth. It's surprising, right? It's very interesting. Even if they had a choice to be born somewhere else, or to be reborn in that same Parlokan dimension, because Earth has fertility. So think of a fertile land where a farm, and in this era, okay, right now. So think of a farmer who is looking for a land where he can grow, again, crops. He's going to look for a land where if he sows the seeds are going to grow, the likelihood is there, the conditions, the weather conditions, all of that is there, the resources are there. So Earth has that, I'm trying to use the English word, understand the English words for it. It's ripe, right? It's fertile, where the soul has very quick ability to shift to extremely high levels of spiritual acceleration and consciousness very, very quickly. But the amount of risk, the amount of difficulty is just as much. So whenever there's high potential positive, there's always high potential negative. And to understand this, that's a whole different topic. I've made a completely different video on it. It's an amazing video. If you're grasping what I'm saying right now, you will enjoy that video. It's a video about Satyug, Kalyug, misconceptions about Kalyug being so bad, misconceptions about Satyug always being so good. And religion has over-exemplified Satyug as amazing, and religion is created by humans. So again, it's the limited 3D consciousness, right? Where they're saying, Satyug is all good and all happiness and it's all amazing. No, not necessary. Kalyug is so amazing. That's why it's not like all the Devi Devtas are just coming here to save Earth. Like I don't know what to say, but the religion, like, again, humans, what will sell? What is the drama that's going to sell and get attention is when you say that Krishna is going to be reborn in Vishnu's this huge avatar that's created so that he'll come and save everybody on earth. No, not necessary. No, like they do that as a part of being here, but they are here for a different reason most of the time, or many times, or that's only part of the reason of their avatar coming here to help consciousness. Yes, they're coming here to help, but that's not the only reason they're coming. They're coming because Earth is very fertile for them to accelerate spiritually very, very quickly. Now, there could be also karmic debt that they want to pay off, and that can only be paid off on Earth because those beings with whom they have the karmic debt can only incarnate on Earth because of their karma. So if I have a debt to pay off to you, and if you're incarnating on Earth, then I have to come on Earth if I want to accelerate my spiritual ascension and I want to get that debt paid off, right? So there's different reasons why even Devi Devtas are born on Earth. And then there are some, which many in the spiritual world, I hope you know this, Earth is the one planet where there's physical touch. Right? Again, it's very 3D. It's very like physical body. Consciousness is there. It's strong. And in Kali Yuga, it's even stronger. The ability to feel your body, the gravity, to feel it physically on a plane. And then that comes with like the intimacy and the joy that comes with that can be experienced on Earth. It cannot, being a mother, to actually have a baby inside your body. That's one reason where Parvati is born on Earth, because she wants to feel her baby. She doesn't want to just create the Ganesh or the baby just through manifestation through her mind, which is 5D. You think of something, you get it, right? That is the 5D, or that is in Jainism, we call it a different planet. There's a whole different name for it. You stand like, you just, the Ashoka tree will give you what you wish for. But Parvati says, no, I want to feel it. So for that, where do I need to go? I need to go to Earth. So there's different reasons why Devis and Devtas are, and that's why when people say, like, when I'm having these discussions, they're like, how can Devis and Devtas be human form? Like, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense because humans have over-exemplified and shown them as totally different. But if you look at the life of Krishna, he was a human, right? Like, he was very much a human. Look at his face, look at his body, look at all the Bal Ganesh. He was a human. And then he just attained a very high consciousness. How will humans show the high consciousness? They have to over-exemplify in the external, because people can't understand internally the growth. They can't see it, they can't feel it. So to make you feel it, they're just over-exemplifying the outward, the muscles, the body. But that's not true always. Devis and Devtas will be looking like you and me, like humans, like very much. But will they have good features? Yeah. Will they have a charming presence? Yes. Will they walk and people will feel like, they will not know they're Devi Devtas, but will they be popular in their family? 100%, because they have all of that additional karam that they've come with. And there are Devi Devtas like Krishna, Radha are twin flames. Shiv, Durga are twin flames. Twin flames is not when people say, I have so much love for you and I think you're my twin flame. That is, I am sorry, but it is crap. That's not twin flames. And there can be other ways. There can be truth to that. But the way I see humans interpret it, just to feel good, it's not necessarily, I won't say positive or negative. It's not necessarily an easy thing at all to have a twin flame. So it's just become a title, right? A prestige. But one thing that I wanted to, what did I want to share about twin flames? Yeah. Something that you will know is, notice that if you're truly, in the twin flame, your skin and your presence and your hair and everything, your appearance will glow naturally when your twin flame is thinking of you. Naturally, there'll be a marked difference. You could be down, depressed. You don't even want to dress up and look good. But your face, people will notice and they will say you are glowing 101%. Even when you're not in touch with your twin flame, but your twin flame is just thinking about you deeply. So I just wanted to share that. I don't know, maybe somebody needed to hear it. There was a reason that it came out. And last thing before I go, I know I've blabbered a lot, and thank you for those of you who listened to me. My connection, and those of you in the free support group know it. I don't know if everybody understands it. And I don't know if you know it. Knowing means you accept, you understand. That I have a very, very deep connection with Ma Durga. And I don't talk so much about her. I talk a lot about Shiv. Obviously, connection with one is connection with both. They're just one soul, consciousness in two different bodies. It's not a soul broken up. So please, twin flames is not one soul that's cut into half. And for God's sake, please don't believe things like this. Question what you're listening to. It is soul consciousness. It's a different thing, in two bodies. There's a lot of magic and miracles as humans say it. I like to say that because I'm not a human. I'm not an earthbound, in my roots. So there are days when I wake up, in fact, and I'm like, oh, I'm on Earth, because I've traveled in my sleep to other planets and dimensions. And my guru had said this to me when I was very young, and I didn't continued to comprehend more. He had told this to me. He had told me, in fact, write every place that you visit, because it's not your dream, you're actually visiting it. And I was like, that makes no sense. And I know now, it's astral travel. But what humans call as magic and miracles, it's not necessarily magic and miracle, but it is magic and miracle for the human world, because in 3D, there can only be so much manifestation or physical motion or things that can happen, right? So it makes sense when humans say this is miracle or this is magical, because for Earth, true, that's not necessarily possible or easy, or it's just not possible. But a lot of that, my family has seen it. All my family, so including my father and my sister, when they used to live with me, I don't know if they remember, I'm sure my father remembers, things that will happen that are just logically not possible, right? It's just period. Like, there's no way that you can logically explain it. Like, you see the frames, like, for example, so there could be a clock on the wall, and you could close the entire room, lock it. No air, there was no air conditioning, no fan. We didn't have air conditioning in India. No fan, no windows open, nothing. And I could come back, and this is, I don't know happened how many times, and those frames would have fallen on the other side of the room, and they would be on the other side of the room repeatedly, and to a way that with the carpets or the mats, there's no way they can even skid, and how will they even fall and go that far? And in a way that logically makes no sense. Or like things that are, and my daughter sees it, she still sees it, like she saw it last week as well. The computer will be completely shut off, and suddenly it'll start playing YouTube, or like out of nowhere, or my phone it's completely, nobody's touching it, it's just there, it'll start playing. But I'll always see these miracles. It's a way that, outside dimension is communicating with me. Positive things, and we're not talking about negative things here. I see these miracles during Navratri, because I ask for it, because I just have a very deep connection, like with Navratri and Ma Durga and all of that. And sure enough, today when I left home, I had said, I knew it, because I had the Akhand Diva on, and I had to go to work every day, so I was away from home, and it's scary, because if it catches a flame or anything, like, it can bring my whole house down while I'm not home. And I don't even have the fire alarm right now, plugged in for battery reasons. So I gave it instructions, like, every day, like, you're not dying. The diya is not dying one bit, even at night. Even though I might have only one small wick, it's amazing. It will continue the whole night, which is logically not possible. That wick went on. And this today I knew it, because I lit extra for the Ashtami. I had a lot of the diya burning, and because there's so much diya, there's so much heat, right? So the plate below it is that it's not exactly plastic, but it's not metal, so it can burn. And I touched, and there was no heat. I'm like, over the 8 days, and I'm like, that's interesting. The cloth or nothing is showing like it's going to burn. And then today I said, today I know the diya is going to want. Yesterday night my daughter saw it. The diya was like, the flame was this big, just out of nowhere. And I knew it was Ashtami, so it was going to happen. So I said, you're not going to burn the house down when I'm gone, because I know the flames are going to go really high. Do whatever you want. The flame is not going outside this plate or hurting anything at all. And I can show you a picture. I came back home and I smelled. I said, is it burning in my house? I said, is there a fire, when I walked in? Because the smell was so strong. And the whole jar, it's interesting. I'll share it in the free support group. I'll share the video there. The video or the picture. I had a giant candle bar, bar, with lots of wax in it. And I had wicks inside. The whole thing has broken. It's completely in these glass pieces, but not one flame, not one thing has been burnt. it's all contained within the plate. It's exactly what I had asked it to do. I said, you're not doing anything to my house. You're not burning the table. You're not burning Ma Durga's cloth. You're not doing, but I wanted to keep the Akhand Diva on. So stuff like that, I just wanted to share. I feel like somebody needs to hear it because I don't like to share things like these that are private. And I know that everybody who hears the video is not going to hear the whole video. If it's in your karma, you will hear it. If it's in your karma, you will understand it to an extent. If it's in your higher karma, if you have stronger karma, you'll understand it a lot more. And if you have even more karma, you will take it. It'll ascend your soul and your life. Something in your life will happen internally, a huge shift. Where like, you know, similar to, I would say, whether me or anybody who's spiritually very, very aligned and ascended, like my teacher, the moment you talk to that individual, your soul consciousness shifts. You may not recognize it. Your life starts to shift. And you might think there's something else happening, but it's just meeting that individual, being in their aura, listening to them or their voice or something they said has shifted your soul completely. That is the power of truly being a spiritual guru or ascended, is your presence or your one word or one sentence shifts consciousness. So, you know, I know that we see that with my teacher also a lot. I know that, you know, that's true for other individuals, for me as well. And so if you have that karam, you will understand it. If you also have that karam to not understand it now, it could be a seed that's sown that you have to, something someone would have told me, right, 10 janams ago could make sense now to me. But that seed was sown in that by that individual then. My soul had heard it. My conscious mind had not made sense of it. Or my soul had heard it and not comprehended it because it didn't have the capacity to manifest it, to understand it, to comprehend it. So sometimes even just listening, you don't understand what I'm saying. If you're feeling drawn to it, listen to it. Same thing for other gurus, right? As long as they're giving you please. Like there's a lot of nonsense and there's a lot of good too. You have to just know, you know, what you're looking for. And if you don't have the karam, you won't know. So, but if you do, that's great for you. Keep listening. If you feel drawn to it, keep listening. If you feel drawn to an individual as a guru, spend more, ask for it, fight for it. Fight. I'm telling you, I'm exaggerating. Fight to spend time. Do what you need to do to win time with them, to win their presence, even one conversation. I make it a point that I talk to my guru. I keep in touch with my teachers. If I have to pay money, I pay money, a lot of money. But I keep them in my presence, in my aura, because their consciousness is keeping my consciousness in check and helping me continue to ascend. It's a huge investment. It's smart thinking. It's a great way to live your life. If you feel drawn to a guru, a person, an individual, do whatever you can to continue to be interacting with them, in touch with them, keep listening to them. Thank you for all of you who feel drawn to my videos. There are people who come up to me. Sometimes I'm like, I don't always like to dress up. I'm like a very flip-flop, like very casual person. And there will be, right now I'm not making that many Facebook videos, but when I used to make regularly, how many people have come up to me in a grocery store, Indians mostly, and told me, I hear all your videos. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know you. Or they've told me in birthday parties, oh yeah, I follow, and I feel like I need to like take care of how I look when I step out. But you never know, basically, is whose consciousness you're touching by saying something good, by saying something, and that could be even true for you and your child. They may not make sense of it right now, correct? You will understand when I say that, but when they grow up, it will make more sense. Exact same philosophy, exact same happening. You may not understand what I'm saying now, but you might three births from now. So I hope this was a really long video. I would encourage you, this is what I do for my gurus. I continue to repeat and rehear, because every time I hear, I realize I'm picking new information. I'm comprehending more, or I missed something because I was at capacity, or because my soul was not there to understand the deeper meanings. So keep hearing, keep repeating. If you like the video, keep repeating it after every few weeks and months, sometimes even after a year, and you will be surprised at the new information that comes out of it for you. Thank you again for those of you who stayed with me. Thank you. Divya Menon, that you're the only person I can see right now, but this is true for me always. It's like when I log out, I'll see so many people would have seen my video and I don't even know. Thank you, everyone. Happy Vijay Dashmi, and win your internal demons, win your internal negative thoughts, doubts. This Navratri is about mastering self-doubt. It's about mastering. So if you're aligned to Shiv, Durga, or Ram and their consciousness, for Shiv, Durga, it's true. This whole Navratri is about winning over self-doubt. So that's probably going to be the theme of your growth in your life if you're very, very closely associated with them or in their soul family as a follower, etc. Okay. Bye. This is Rima Desai from the Guiding Star. Enjoy.